How's it going, guys? It is Tuesday, June 21st, and this is Eggy's Roll-Up. So, my videos lately, they've been kind of probably a little bit stale, they've been a little bit bland, because I haven't really had anything that, I feel more fired up when I got something to complain about, you know what I mean? that's where I get really fired up, and well, today, I got something that I really want to complain about, and so if you know me, you know that there's one group of people I really do not care for, and that group of people is baby boomers. Now, obviously, there's plenty of things wrong with the millennial generation, many things, of course, but really, when you pull it all back, where do all these problems with the millennial generation really seem to have their roots? Now, I'm not saying that, obviously, civilization goes through cycles, of course. They have their rise and fall. Don't get me wrong. But you can trace a lot of the problems. For one, this is a video I'm going to make in the future, first off, too, tracing a lot of the problems back to the First World War. And, if you know about that, then you probably know what I'm getting at. But the baby boomer generation, the 60s, the 1965 Immigration Act that was passed in the United States, supported by Ted Kennedy, that's really radically changed the landscape of America, and just everything else that was going on in the 60s, a much stronger leftist presence in America, this whole free love thing, and all these other sorts of things that baby boomers had come during their time that are all just really, really awful things. Now, there's something that I consider to be like the holy trinity of horrible shit. Now, first off, you take a baby boomer, okay, and then you take it. Then you upgrade that to a female baby boomer. Then you upgrade that to a female baby boomer without children, and you have what could potentially be considered the most destructive force imaginable. Like I said, a holy trinity, an absolute nightmare of unparalleled proportions. Okay, first off, you have the baby boomer attitude, very, very reminiscent of attitudes to come in future generations as well. The millennial selfishness and laziness that are so, so oft pronounced, implied, and so on and so forth. And not to say, obviously I've complained about freeloaders in previously, but I mean, baby boomers are very, very self-oriented, and you see that obviously by, the ones especially who chose, to continue having more successful and more career-oriented lifestyles, accruing wealth instead of having families. So you combine, first off, those two things, the baby boomer generation, the baby boomer mindset, combined with, choosing to focus on self, choosing to focus on career and wealth beyond focusing on family building, family raising, and, future generations, so on and so forth. Then you throw in the mix being a middle-aged woman, okay? For whatever reason, they seem to have a very high propensity of being an absolute cunt. So when you mix all of these three things together, a baby boomer mentality, combined with the childlessness, which leads to loneliness, which is, it's irritating when you're at an old age, you're shitting your pants, nobody's there to take care of you, and it shows your selfishness is implicated, in the fact that you didn't care for the future generation, you didn't care to have children because you would rather focus on yourself and your own success, something maybe perhaps I'm guilty of, but I don't hold myself, I think about this a lot. I don't necessarily hold myself in the same regard, because obviously we all know the situations I've been in, is it really good for me to breed, and arguments of that nature. So we'll go ahead but that's just my 2 cents, but I'll move forward here. And then, so basically this factor, I mean, I've really had to deal with a lot of horrible people in my time, really people that really just grind the gears, that really just, really make you grit the teeth, that really just fucking bust your balls and you want to just knock them upside the head. But I swear to God, there is no force in this world that is able of producing a more aggravating human being than the baby boomer childless female. I swear it, I swear it, I swear it up and down. You know, it's just, you know, they have something about when they're like, I don't know, when they hit like 45, it's just like, you know, they're all dried up. They can't even shit out a really retarded autistic child with like no limbs. It's game over, man. They're out, they're dried up. They are used and hung out to dry. So then it's like the inverse, and we've, you know, this is something that's obviously well known, you know, kind of the inverse, young men without status, without wealth, you know, can't find an attractive woman compared to a guy that's like, you know, say like in his early 30s with status and wealth. And then a woman who, you know, is beyond her years, beyond her looks, is also, you know, going to not have any male attention coming her way as well. So yeah, I mean, it really just gets on my nerves, really grinds my gears, because, you know, since I've kind of, I mean, I still consider myself, I still, you know, maybe I am perhaps a man child, I guess, you know, I guess I'm not married, I guess I don't have a career, I'm pretty much a fucking bum, so I guess, you know, that could be, you know, considered being a man child. But, I mean, I still feel like when I see people who are like in their 30s or 40s and still acting like so immature, I mean, I was like, can you imagine being like 60 years old and like working at like McDonald's, for instance? I mean, it just so thoroughly escapes like the realm of even possibility for me. Like, why? I mean, like, why? What even is the point of living? You know, if that's the case, where you're like, you got to be like, you know, like an old, you're in old age and you're still basically like working with like teenagers, and you know, I mean, it's just so ridiculous. I like it totally, like I said, it just totally escapes the realm of possibility. Like, I just don't understand like how these people. I mean, and then, you know, then the baby boomers, not to say, like I said, you know, the millennial generation is riddled with all sorts of horrible issues, of course, you know, with all the identity politics and whatever else, but it was all brought about onto our generation from the earlier generation. I feel like the boomers really, you know, it was counterculture, leftist, you know, Marxist ideologies that were considered the counterculture, and they all wanted to rebel. And maybe it's just human nature as well, you know what I mean? But I mean, you know, they're just still so persistent and still so just, I don't know. It's really, really aggravating to me to think about it and to have to deal when I have to deal with middle-aged boomer women, and just how absolutely insanely, I mean, it just makes your jaw drop sometimes. But I feel like we're, you know, maybe the millennials are really, really fucked up and they're going to be really horrible, but I feel like, you know, there's going to be enough of us that that we can maybe, you know, with some common sense, that we might be able to achieve some sensibilities in the future. I don't know. I have high hopes. Obviously, you know, a lot of people think I shouldn't. And I mean, there's, like I said, there's plenty stacked up against the odds, you know, and, you know, I've talked about that before, obviously, too. But, well, I mean, you know, if there's nothing to, you know, live for, then, you know, it doesn't make life really enjoyable. So, you know, I keep finding purpose, and I keep on working and keep on moving forward, you know. Like I said in the other video, you got to appreciate the little things in life. You got to work, you know, towards, you know, what you can find valuable, what you can find to protect, and what you can find to enjoy in life, and you got to fight for it. You got to protect it. All right, well, you guys have a good one now, and we'll catch you tomorrow, all right? Take it easy, guys.